Oh, you didn't know?
Ocho Cinco, was he a quarterback?
Your ass better call somebody.
He's gone for the touchdown. Caldwell Pope. How about that one, baby?
It's Sports Entertainment today.
How did he win this game?
I hope this is bleach.
Take the hoop out of that playbook, please. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the College Football Weekly Matchup, Week 15. We just got off championship week. I'm very disappointed, obviously. Preston's over here happy. Going to the Cheez-It Bowl. Congratulations. I mean, he's excited that Georgia lost. He's the biggest Alabama fan in the world now, and they're going to the Cheez-It Bowl. Bryson's excited. They're going to play UCF, the true national champions from a few years ago. So Bryson, Florida wins. I guess they're national champions technically. I'm not sure how that works, but I'm not gonna talk too much. I'm disappointed. Josh couldn't make it tonight. He couldn't rub it in our face. He's a little ill, so he'll be back next week when we do the pick'ems. But Bryson, how was your week of college football? Watching the Georgia game, watching the other games. How was your week?
What a great way to start off I guess you'd call somewhat bowl season, getting a pre-trip of it. Shout out to Baylor. God almighty damn. I love them. I love it. What a game. I ain't going to lie. I was more in that game than the Georgia-Alabama game, to be 100% honest with you.
That was a good game. I mean, it was a closer game.
Georgia-Alabama. I wanted Georgia to win, but, Alabama's Georgia's kryptonite. Bryce Young doing his thing. Michigan blowing out Iowa. I mean, I could have called that one.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Cincinnati struggling in the first half and then turning it on in the second half. Houston, they got big win for them.
Houston lost Cincinnati. What are you talking about?
Not Houston. Damn, Utah.
Utah State.
Sorry.
No, Utah over Oregon. Sorry.
Yes, Utah. I'm sorry about that. Well, both, the whole state of Utah getting it done this weekend. It was a great weekend. I'm ready for the bowl season. Like you said, we got UCF. I've been wanting this matchup. They said they're the best team in Florida. I guess in the Gator Bowl, we're going to see who the real Florida team is.
So what's the word on just before we get into Preston here? I know he's got a lot to say. What's the word on Anthony Richardson? So is he going to play now that the coach is gone, or what's the word on that?
I haven't heard anything. I haven't know who's going to start on that yet. Hope Anthony Richardson, because I feel like he made a post on Instagram, I think 2 weeks ago, and it kind of seemed like he was going to stay at Florida. He don't feel like, transferring. I hope he gets some playing time because, I feel he's going to get a lot of playing time next year. And we got Billy Napier coming in. So I hope he does play in the bowl game.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's one thing I was going to ask, if he's going to transfer, if he's not, playing that much.
Yeah, like I said, he posted something that kind of seemed like, Gator for life. Hopefully he is. So.
All right, let's get into him. Preston, I know you want to give it to me. You're happy going to the Cheez-It Bowl. Georgia lost.
No.
Whatever.
No.
How was your week?
It was good. At the end of the day, I can only give my props to Georgia. They're still in the playoffs. They still, are a very talented team. I think they're definitely one of the three. They're definitely one of the four best, but they're definitely one of the two or three best teams in the country right now, most talented right now. Yes, Clemson is going to the Cheez-It Bowl to play Iowa State. I'm very excited about that. I think that's going to be a really good team that we're going to get to match up against, especially since our offensive coordinator is most likely gone, and Tony Elliott, our defensive coordinator, is gone. Our athletic director is gone. But, at the end of the day, I was watching the SEC championship game at Top Dog. It was definitely a good game in the first quarter for Georgia. Not so much the next three. The big plays really started hurting them. I think they can definitely fix that. I think going into the second game that they're probably going to end up playing with them in the national championship game. It should be a highly contested game. I definitely think it's going to be closer than it was the first time, at 17 points. Not close, but it is what it is. But they definitely are further along than Clemson is right now. So I can't talk too much because, they've competed this entire season. They've only got one loss to their record. But I think it's overall, I think it was a good weekend. I think Michigan has some serious gripes. They could be complaining why they're not the number one team in the country. But it is what it is. They had the two probably most dominant wins the last 2 weeks of the regular season. So at the end of the day, I think they got it correct. The committee got it correct. The four best teams are in the playoffs. I just have a little gripe about the positioning of them. But at the end of the day, I think the committee overall did a good job, especially with the first non-group of Power 5 in. So good weekend.
Gotcha. what was I about to say? I was about to mention something you said. So, you're talking about that before we're going to get into, going over the playoff games and stuff. But so you're saying Cincinnati, doesn't have a chance. I mean, what if Alabama overlooks them? Before Georgia, I would say Alabama was not playing that great. I mean, maybe in my opinion, never know. You never know what happens. I don't think it's going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I think Alabama's going to blow them out. But, I mean, it could happen. The way Alabama's been playing before this game, we'll see. I don't know what Josh just texted, but okay. But overall, the records for the week. Preston and Bryson led overall. They went 4-3 on the week. Both of them went 4-3. Preston is 51-49. Bryson is 43-53. So he's got a good ways to catch up in this bowl game. In the bowl game, he's got a good ways. Josh went
come back of a lifetime, boys.
Josh is not here, but he went 3-4 on the week. So Preston gained another game on him. Josh is 57-52 overall. We are going to go by winning percentage, and some of us missed some games. But, yeah, overall, what was I about to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Preston, what did you want to do? Did you want to rant about or did you already give your rant? Did you want to rant on the week of the college football playoffs, or did you have another rant?
No, I have the college football playoff rankings.
Should we go ahead and get in that, or do you guys want to talk about anything else on the weekend? Because we really kind of we were planning on doing the bowl pick'ems, but Josh couldn't make it, and then we were trying to figure out what we want to do. So we're just kind of going to recap and talk about the what's forward, and we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about some matchups coming up. But I guess actually I didn't even write it down. But if you guys have a player of the week off the top of your head, you ain't got to go by stats. If you have one off the top of your head, do you have one off the top of your head? Does anybody got to have? So before we get into the rant, what would your player of the week be?
Bryce Young, 100%.
Bryce Young, what do you have? I think he had 421 yards.
New SEC passing yard record.
I mean, does he have any shot? Why Bryson maybe can think of a player of the week. If not, it's all good because I didn't write it down. It's my fault. But does he have any shot of not winning the Heisman?
I don't think so at this point.
I mean, I know they put
it has his name written all over it. And if I choose player of the week, it's going to be Bryce Young. I mean, he did his Heisman moment right there, beating undefeated Bulldogs in the SEC championship. I mean, you can't write a more Heisman moment than that. I don't believe anybody else will come nowhere close.
Yeah, I mean, Jameson Williams, you could also give it to him. That's one thing that. No, I'm not wishing injury on nobody, but John Mechie, or is it John Mechie? He's out for the game. I mean, he's going to be out. He's got a torn ACL, so somebody's going to have to step up there. They probably got Jerry Rice on the bench somewhere. Who knows? You know how Alabama is. We are watching Monday Night Football.
They got a backup quarterback. That's going to be the next star quarterback for the next 5 years. So
yeah. And one thing I will say, what if Georgia? I'm not saying JT Daniels play. What if Georgia does the old they're going to play JT Daniels after the half and wins it? What if they could have done that? Maybe they could have done that.
I thought he was going to come in, the championship game.
I don't understand why he didn't come in that game.
But yeah, I don't know. I know he's been hurt all season. I thought he was more healthy, but I don't know. One thing I will say, though, I did not want Georgia to win that game, a close game. I'd rather just lose it. I would rather just lose it because I mean, I'm not saying – they would have came back. If they would have came back and won, I know Preston would totally disagree with me here. Totally, absolutely disagree. And he's got a right to disagree. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think Notre Dame would have got the spot, but I don't think it's an absolute guarantee. The way the playoff committee has been, I don't think it's a guarantee. Alabama wouldn't have got the fourth spot still. But
Alabama, if they had lost that game?
If I'm saying the way the game looked, say if it was 41, the way the game looked, Alabama dominating the whole game. Say Georgia somehow made a miraculous comeback or something in the fourth quarter.
They lose, they're out. I don't care what you say.
I mean, I think a lot of people say that, but I
promise you, I would have.
But I'm saying,
I would have blown up.
I'm just saying the way the committee has been. Bryson knows. Bryson, I think Bryson would have put Notre Dame too. Do I think Alabama should? Go Damian Harris. Go. Is that Harris?
That's gone.
Is that Harris or Stevenson? Who is that?
I think it's Stevenson.
Please be Harris. Please be Harris.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's money, baby. Money back. Come on, baby. Sorry.
Anyway. You said I would put Notre Dame in if
no, I'm saying I think you might put Notre Dame in by rules, but
hell no. Y'all
I'm
need to
saying
put
Notre
some
Dame if Alabama
motherfucking
would've
respect
lost.
on Baylor.
Okay, but okay, so Alabama
No,
loses.
in the last
spot.
whoa. Baylor had 2 losses. If Baylor has 2 losses, you might as well put Alabama in. If they just I disagree with that one. It was either going to be Notre Dame or it was going to be Alabama, I think.
Whoever's going to fill the last spot.
Yeah, I think.
And you're saying the other 3 teams would be Georgia.
I just saying.
Cincinnati,
I think they would put Notre Dame in, but I don't think it's a guarantee they'd have put Notre Dame in the way everything looks.
Well, what in that situation?
Look at this game. Hold on, time out. Sorry, we're all over the place today. They're not even kicking extra points because of how bad the wind is. They're going for 2. That's crazy. I'm guessing that's why.
Okay, but I want to ask a question. In that scenario, Georgia comes back and wins at a last-second field goal or whatever it is. Okay, that's Stevenson, I think.
All right. I need him too. Sorry. I got both of them. Running game. That's Steven. Oh, no, that's Bolden.
Nope.
That's even better. Bolden, baby. Yeah. Come on. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so in that scenario, my question is, if Alabama loses in a last-second field goal, okay, I don't think they get in because let's add Oklahoma State wins the Big 10 or the Big 12. Then you got Michigan, Alabama, or you got Michigan, Georgia, and Cincinnati. And then that last spot can come down to a team that didn't play because they don't have a conference championship in Notre Dame. Then you got Oklahoma State that has a true hand on that last spot. You got Alabama, who's a dominant team. I think it comes down to, who's the committee thinks going to make more money for the playoffs.
That's what I say. It just wouldn't surprise me if they put Alabama.
Oh, the committee doesn't surprise me anymore.
That's what I'm saying. It just wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I honestly think Alabama. I mean, if we were just picking top teams, I would still put Alabama in, me personally.
Yeah.
But to be fair, you have to put Notre Dame in. I mean, I guess. But Bryson, what were you going to say? What was your thoughts on that?
I'm good.
You're good. You don't want to talk about it. I mean, you would put Baylor at number 4 is what you were saying.
Yes, I would.
I mean, Baylor's looked good.
100%. I mean, I don't know why everybody sleeps on Baylor.
But I'm saying but I'm saying really, honestly.
Yes, I would.
But I'm saying if Alabama, but over Alabama, who if they had a dominated Georgia,
if it came down to where you say Alabama and Baylor.
Yes, that's who it would come down to.
Alabama.
Okay, but who else would it come back down to? You're saying it would come down to Cincinnati and Baylor? I mean, who would it come down to?
I'm kind of confused on what you're trying to say.
What I'm saying is, listen.
Okay.
Listen. We're all over the place. Listen, I'm saying if Alabama would came back, or Georgia would have came back and beat Alabama.
Correct.
In the fourth quarter. Say it was a miraculous comeback. They came back and won by 3 points or something.
Okay.
Does Alabama still get in that 4th spot, or does Notre Dame get in the 4th spot, or does Baylor get the 4th spot? What are you saying?
In that situation, it somehow that happened. Given that Georgia is the number 1 team in the nation, also given the committees out here trying to make this right here. If that comeback did happen, they still keep Bama in the 4th spot.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it. Is there anything else we want to talk on the week? Any other games that we didn't mention? I know we mentioned the top games.
No,
it was basically the SEC championship.
Yeah, it's only really about. I mean that move that the Oklahoma State running back did to try to get the pylon the last second of the game. I just don't understand why he doesn't try to go north-south before he did. He only went at the last second, and he didn't give himself enough room to, really get closer to the pile. I don't. Yeah, I mean Baylor Bears. I mean bear down, but I didn't understand it. I was sitting in the bar with everybody, and everybody's like, "What is he doing?" And he ran to the sideline, and then the last second, cut up the field, but he wasn't close. I mean, he was a good probably 6 inches away from the pylon, which, I mean, it sounds close, but it's really not close. And it was just confusing. I think that was their chance right there to possibly get in the playoffs. So it was just kind of confusing. Oregon, again, on Friday night, got waxed like they did 2 weeks earlier to the same team. It's just not understanding to me. I mean, and the other teams that we thought were going to do took care of business. So,
gotcha.
Let's go weekend.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Bryson, did you have a player of the week? You went with Bryce Young. Sorry.
Yeah, I went with Bryce Young also.
You did go with Bryce Young. All right.
Yes.
So let's get into, before we start talking about the top 4 and looking at the bowl games a little bit. We're not going to pick the bowl games, but we're just going to talk about the matchups. Preston or Bryson, do you have a rant of the week? Bryson, you want to rant or you want me to cut it to Preston?
That could have
All
depressed him.
right, Preston, what you got?
Okay, so the committee has again passed over what's correct and what's the right thing to do in picking the teams and putting them where they're supposed to be in the playoffs and dictated the matchups. I don't understand why Georgia and Alabama are not playing in the first matchup or one of the first matchups in the playoffs. I don't understand it because in years past, it's had the same situations and they've, made the teams go 1-4 or they've split them up or they've done this and they've done the right thing. And this year, I just don't understand it. I think the matchups are exciting. I'm actually really excited to see Michigan and Georgia. I think that's going to be an outstanding game. I absolutely love it. And I think Cincinnati and Alabama is going to be a good game, too, for the first, 7 minutes. I really do. I think these are going to be some, exciting matchups, and we're going to get to see some different things. But I definitely just think that Georgia and Alabama should have played in the first round matchup. Simply because if Georgia's the number one team, they lose by 17 points, and you're going to put Alabama at 1. Why did Georgia only fall to 3 and not 4? It's because they didn't want Georgia and Alabama to play in the first matchup. That's all it is. They didn't want to see them again. They wanted to possibly have them wait and play a national championship. And I don't know if there was if there's another reason. If there was, I don't like it. I just don't understand it. And then if you're going to put Georgia at 3, why did Michigan get jumped by Alabama? Michigan had 2 dominant weeks where I would say they probably, up until on Saturday when Alabama beat Georgia, had the best win of the season when they beat down on Ohio State, and they won in the Big House, and they won in the game. They had the best win of the week or of the year.
Can I ask you a question before you keep going?
What? Go ahead.
So what about, because Alabama, Alabama's one loss didn't it come in overtime?
No, I think it
was it overtime in a really close game? Wasn't it
it was a close game.
Wasn't it like a last minute,
but they had to come back. They definitely were down by a little bit. They had to come back. And at the very end, they actually had the lead for a short period of time. But I don't know if it was – I don't think that game went in overtime. But if it did, I don't remember. I just know they lost that, and they lost a close one.
I don't know. I think it could go either way. I mean, I think Alabama's the number one team? Yes. Do I think Michigan could have got the number one spot? Yes. But, I don't know. I see your argument, but keep going. Sorry.
I'm fine with however if you're going to put one team in cement, put one in the cement. But if Georgia only fell to 3 and they're still ahead of Cincinnati, I don't understand that. Cincinnati won its conference. They're the last undefeated team in the country. And they're 13-0 conference champions. They were sitting at 3, I can't remember. They were sitting at 3 or 4, and then they moved down, and I just don't understand it.
Like I said, though, before in the early in the playoffs, they had a lot of one-loss teams were ahead of Cincinnati, and Cincinnati wasn't even getting in the playoffs before. Cincinnati, don't get me wrong, Cincinnati did come and they beat Houston, and they got a little bit more impressive wins. I wouldn't say hugely impressive wins. They played better towards the end, and won by a little bit more than beating one-loss teams by 3 points. But, I would just say, if it's based off the whole season, I saw it coming from a mile away.
No, and I understand they were still behind those one-loss teams, and that's fine. That was in the regular season. Those teams continued to lose. Cincinnati continued to win. That's why they kept moving up the board, and that's why I think they should be number 3, and they should have swapped with Georgia and everything like that.
But Georgia has one loss. But Georgia has one loss though.
By 17 points.
Yeah,
by 17 points. That's not. At the end of the year, yeah, you were dominating, but you got dominated in the second half of that game. That's my only argument. It's not like they lost. If they lost by a field goal or less than 10 points to Alabama, I actually have no problem with them being 1 and 2 and only falling back to one spot, Michigan going to 3, and you'd probably still get the same matchup. I'd be fine with that. But my only argument is they lost by 17. They lost by 17. They should be number 4. That's my argument. They should be number 4. They lost by 17. That's not opinion. That's fact. They lost by 17 points to Alabama. They
lost by 17. That's fact. But I think it's an opinion that they should go to 4.
That's an opinion. That's an opinion. The fact is they lost by 17. I think they should have gone to number 4 because if Alabama goes to 1, they won by 17. They were the underdog in that game by 6.5. They completely changed the narrative and went from this team that's struggling down the stretch versus LSU, Florida. They lost to Texas A&M. Auburn took them to the triple overtime. And then they 17 points on Georgia, the most dominant team in the country. I just don't understand it, but it is what it is. At the end of the day,
I can see where you're coming from. I see both sides. One thing I will say is, and you're going to say a win's a win, but the way Georgia has won games, besides losing this one, the way they have won games, and Cincinnati has struggled with some teams that are not good at all. I think, not saying that's right, I think that's why Georgia got the 3 spot and Cincinnati did not. And plus, Cincinnati doesn't really play nobody. But Georgia didn't really play nobody either, the way it looks. But Bryson, before, I know we could argue about this all day. We're not going to. But Bryson, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree with the rankings that they came out with, or the Final Four. Like you said, Cincinnati, they haven't really played nobody. Struggling against some high schools. They still deserve the number 4 spot because they're undefeated or whatever. Michigan, Georgia, I think that's going to be a good game. Georgia's only favored by 7.5.
Yeah.
I know Alabama, Cincinnati. Alabama's favored by 13.5. Don't know where the hell they got that number from.
They're starting to come down already.
Yeah, we'll get in. We're going to get into the talking about the games in just a second. Let's go ahead and let's get in. So I guess we've talked about where the playoff seedings and stuff. I'll let you start. What do y'all want? Y'all want to start off first with? We'll start off first with the game that people's going to agree with. Probably Alabama should win. If you guys want to talk about it, we'll talk about the playoffs first, then we'll talk about some bowl games y'all want to talk about. Okay, is that cool? All right. Cincinnati and Alabama. We're not going to talk about the spread right now. I think it's what'd you say it was?
I think it dropped down
13.5.
All right, we're not going to talk about the spread. We're not going to do our picks because we're going to save that for next week. But Bryson, what's your thoughts going into that game?
May God help Cincinnati. I don't know where they're getting that spread from. I don't see it happening. Alabama, they're on a roll now. They're hungry. If you beat the number 1 team in the nation, it ain't looking good for Cincinnati. I see that game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. I just don't see Cincinnati competing. Alabama defense, they're probably going to struggle in the first quarter. But after that, Saban's going to get that shit right, and Alabama's going to just run over them.
Gotcha. I hate to say go on Cincinnati's side a little bit. I know I don't really have too much of an opinion. I try to keep my opinion out of the show a little bit. But the way Alabama has, besides Georgia, they didn't really get ready to play the other game. I guess they didn't want to play. Not saying, I'm trying to think. They didn't look as good as they did against Georgia, and they're playing Cincinnati now. They may kind of, look ahead. So I could see Cincinnati maybe possibly giving a run for money. I doubt it. But Preston, what's your thoughts on that?
On the Cincinnati-Alabama game?
Yeah, we're talking about that game.
I think Alabama's probably going to use this game as probably a tune-up for the next week game when they play Michigan in the national championship game. I just think it's going to be one of those kind of games where they're going to I saw Chris when I said that. I'm just kidding.
I didn't. I honestly missed what you said.
I said I think it's going to use they're going to use it as a tee-up game when they play out Michigan in the national.
And I don't think you're wrong. Before we get in that game, I definitely think it's possible. Georgia's not a guarantee. I think Georgia's going to win, but it's not a guarantee. But go ahead.
I just think it's one of those games that I think for the first couple possessions, maybe they score a touchdown. If they don't score a touchdown, I don't think in the first like 8-9 minutes of that game, or if they don't score a touchdown, they got to keep Alabama off the scoreboard. I think that's the only chance they've got keeping this game close. I just don't see it. I'm happy they did it because I called it in the preseason. I said the only non-Power 5 school to make the playoffs would be Cincinnati. They've got their chance. They're representing all the other non-Power 5 schools. Who've always wanted a dream to get into the big show. I don't see it. I think they got a very tough matchup ahead of them. I think they probably got the worst team they could have played in the playoffs. So I think it is what it is. But realistically, if you matched up this Cincinnati team versus any of the other 3 schools, it's gonna be a long uphill battle for them against whoever they play, because I think they'd be double-digit dogs to pretty much everybody.
And sorry, I know I've asked this 3 times. What would we say the spread was?
It's 13.5.
13.5. Well,
I just checked it.
Do you think it should be more, or you think it's about right?
It probably should be more.
Probably should be
more.
At least he came to his senses a little bit. I think it should be a little bit more, but I don't know. Maybe I'm the odd man out here. And maybe I'm not nothing against Alabama. Alabama was better.
Oh,
team
don't
than
even get on the Cincinnati
Alabama,
bandwagon
I'm not.
Now that I've been down for 12
I'm not
weeks.
on Cincinnati bandwagon at all. Cincinnati's not good. I think Alabama's going to win by 30.
Not good.
I don't think Cincinnati's great. I don't think quarterback's great. I think quarterback's really good. I don't think the team's that good. Anyway, but what I was saying was I'm comparing the games before Georgia, the way Alabama's looked. Cincinnati could possibly make them overlook, and somehow Cincinnati can make this close game possible.
I think so too. I think they have a good quarterback. I think Desmond Ritter's got an.
And I think it'll be on. I think it's on Alabama. Now Alabama could come out and look like do what
they come out, look out. They come out and score their first couple possessions. It's over early.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, in historically speaking, Alabama and Nick Saban have struggled against quarterbacks that are mobile, and that's exactly what Desmond Ridder is. He's a mobile quarterback. He's very accurate. He's a little older too, so maybe he doesn't get riled up, and maybe he doesn't get forced to make these little mistakes that other quarterbacks or younger quarterbacks would. But then again, he's not playing a Power 5 schedule, so who's to say he's not playing in those environments? Now I know they get rowdy up there in Cincinnati, but I don't think he's seen anything like he's going to see with us as those Roll Tide fans up down there in Tuscaloosa. So I think it's a different beast.
And if Alabama plays 100%, I
don't think they need to play 100%.
Well, I'm saying if they do, I think it's going to be like 51 to 41.
I could honestly see this game getting I could see Alabama being in the 40s by the end of the second quarter. I really could. I mean, I've been harping for it.
What are you on today? He's against Cincinnati. All right.
I'm not against Cincinnati. I think they've done exactly what they needed to do. They've accomplished their goal. They're American Athletic champions. They're in the playoffs. They did something that nobody thought, myself included, was possible. I think this is their reward. So they got to get the teeth kicked in.
So if they're facing like Michigan, I know you don't think Georgia's way better, or Alabama's way better than Georgia, whatever. But anyway, if they were facing Georgia or Michigan, you think they have a? I mean,
if they were facing,
you would pick them to win. Is what you're saying?
I wouldn't pick them to win versus any of these teams, but. If the spread, I know we said we weren't talking spreads, but hypothetically speaking, if the spread was 13.5 versus Michigan, or if it was 13.5 versus Georgia, or maybe 15.5, because I feel like 15.5 is a really good number for them. If it's 15.5, I'd take them plus 15.5 versus Georgia and Michigan. I don't think they win that game. I think they lose by 14, because I think 15 at that point, I just don't think they're going to get any closer than that. But I think Alabama is going to just hang up points, because I think that's just what Alabama's going to want to do, getting ready for their rematch or their possible, first time meeting Michigan in a while. I just think that's just what this is, that those games are going to be.
If we're going to have a team like that in there, why not stick Bryson's Baylor Bears in there and make it interesting? Make it interesting. Make a team that actually has a chance, possibly. Anyway, on to the next game. We'll talk about the next game. Georgia. Michigan, night game, 7:30. What is it? The 31st. I know they're both the 31st.
Is it 31st? I thought they were the first. I thought it was like New Year's Day.
I think the playoffs on 31st. So that's New Year's Eve. Bryson, what's your thoughts on Georgia and Michigan?
Last time I checked, I think the spread was 7.5. Mm-hmm. Georgia favored. Oh man, I got a mixed feeling about this game. I can feel it can go either way. I can feel Georgia pissed off and they be dominant, and but something's telling me that it's going to be a very high-scoring game for some reason. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking 35-32, Georgia, barely sneaking out of there. But Michigan's one of those teams. They've been looking dominant, since after Ohio State. After that game, I mean, they blew my mind. I was not expecting, the outcome in that game, but Michigan's looking very dominant, and Michigan could, end up in the championship, but I think it's going to be a very close one.
Yeah. Before I go to Preston, I think I could see it both ways. I'm right there with you. I could see it both ways. It depends how pissed off in Georgia, how much heart they play with. I think Georgia's the better team. I think Ohio State was kind of not saying they were a fluke, but Ohio State were exposed against the run. They were terrible against the run, and that's where Michigan beat them. I don't know. I got mixed feelings too. I think Georgia's going to look like, Georgia's going to come out and probably win. I think it's going to be a low score. I disagree. It's going to be a high score. I think it's going to be a low score.
Take the under.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I would say probably somewhere. If I had to choose, I would probably think like 21-10.
27-17 sounds really good.
27-17, 21-10. I don't think Michigan's going to score that much, but then again, could be wrong. I think Georgia's going to have a lot better because not saying they don't have to go against is Michigan how mobile is Michigan's quarterback?
Pretty mobile.
Okay, he's pretty mobile too, but he's not Bryce Young. Is what I'm saying.
No, he's not.
He's not Bryce Young. Bryce Young was very good in the pocket, and we got to get pressure. We had zero sacks against Bryce Young, obviously. Defensive backs didn't look too good. I don't know. I could see it going either way, but what's your thoughts on it, Preston?
I think it's going to be a very good game. Again, like Chris said, I think take the under in this kind of matchup. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair at all. I don't slightly give Michigan the edge here, but I definitely think it's in somewhere we need to address and look at, especially during the game, is Michigan's offensive and defensive lines. Now, they were able to absolutely blow off Iowa off the line of scrimmage, and they did a very good job of doing the same thing to Ohio State in their matchup at the end of the regular season. I think that's where that game's going to be won and lost. I think it's going to be in the trenches. I think it's going to be a tough and hard game for either team to win. I definitely think it's going to be a low scoring affair. But if Michigan's able to really pressure whoever Georgia runs out there as quarterback, either Daniels or Bennett, I think it's going to make it a very long day for that quarterback. And the same thing for Michigan's quarterback, because I definitely don't think Jordan Davis played his best game of the year. He might have played one of his worst, honestly, because when I watched that game, he just didn't seem like he had that extra gear to him that he normally did.
I agree with that.
And neither did most of the defense. I mean, I think there were some times where they played the way they were supposed to, and there were times where they let up and they seemed like they took a play off, and that's when Alabama would run for 45 or pass and just dot them up. So I think they really need to focus on their offensive and defensive lines for this matchup, and I think that's where the game's going to be won or lost. So I think, and I really think this is probably going to be the best game of the year, honestly. I don't think whoever it's in the national championship, I think it's going to be a good game if it's Georgia or Bama. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think the best game of this playoffs is probably going to be Georgia-Michigan. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I think it's going to be a tight game the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see that too. I think this is going to be a very close game. I have different opinions. If Georgia wins, I think Georgia could give a little shot there, and possibility. I think we're going to make. We ain't going to do a money bet. We won't do a money bet, but me and Preston, I'll do a bet with Preston that Georgia will win. If Georgia makes it to the next round, if Georgia, Alabama.
Now, I want to make the bet now.
If it's Georgia, Alabama, well, we haven't came up with an idea. We need like hot sauce or something to eat, some challenge. We got to do a challenge on the next podcast on YouTube because you won't see it on Apple Podcasts. We got to do something. A bet. I don't want to do money because I don't have that much faith in it. I do, but I've already made bets on the national championship. So
I took my futures bet. I took when my friend went up to Vegas. I got to make a $40 bet to win $150 that Ohio State was going to win it. Yeah, 2 days later they lost to Michigan and pretty much lost.
Yeah, I told you, man, Ohio State, they look good, but
they were looking good.
That run defense, man, was awful.
But then they ran into Ohio State.
That's one reason. That's one reason. Yeah, that's one reason I picked Michigan too, because Michigan ran the ball well and their defense was good.
That was very true.
But anyway, all right. So besides the playoffs, what other bowl games we got to talk about? I know we're going to pick them next week. We're just going to go over them briefly. We've already been in the show, a little bit, but we can go over some games. Bryson, I know you want to talk about the Florida game. How do you like your chances in that game against UCF?
Yeah, we're facing UCF in the Gator Bowl. Last time I checked, we were favored by 7.5. I'm really excited about this matchup. Dan Mullins 2 or 3 years ago, asked to play UCF and they denied it. But now, get to face them. I have a little grudge against them. Them thinking they're national champions. Best team in Florida. I hate to tell you, I'll choose. I hate to say it, but I would choose Florida State over UCF.
Make it feel good.
I think it's going to be closer game than expected. I hate to say that, but yeah, I can't wait to see that game.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia. I mean, Florida has been playing better these last couple weeks. They've been a little bit better than what they have been. I haven't really watched too much UCF, so I don't know. I personally, I don't know. I think Florida should be able to get it done, but we'll see.
I haven't looked into much of the other bowl games, so I really couldn't tell you. I know I forgot who Baylor's facing. I think that's going to be a really good game, but dang, I can't think of it.
I can tell you why. Preston, do you want to talk about your Clemson going against Iowa State? Do you want to talk about it?
I want to talk about it, but it's just because I think that it's going to be a very close game, and I really wouldn't be surprised if we lose this game, simply because we're probably going to – this game at that point of the season, we might be without Tony Elliott, our offensive coordinator. He might take a couple jobs. He's definitely had some interest peak. I'm not really sure why. He struggled all season. I'm not really sure why. He's pretty much killed the offense for Clemson. So, yeah, definitely take him. I mean, I'll happily send him. I mean, I'll throw in some players if I have to. But our defensive coordinator is definitely gone. Brent Venables took the head coach job at Oklahoma. Happy for him and his family. Sucks that our defense is going to be left open for that time available. We're probably going to have our fill-in players just like for the game, or have a coordinator fill in for the game for something like that. So right now they're only favored by 1 point over Iowa State. Iowa State's the home team in that matchup. So I don't know. I could see that game, the players playing wanting to go for a 10-win season, and they blow out Iowa State. I could see Iowa State coming out and playing very good and winning that game. I mean, it is what it is. I think I'm happy that they're in the Cheez-It Bowl. I'm happy that they're playing in a bowl game. I have faith in my team that they're going to be able to rebuild and reload and be ready for next season. I mean, you can laugh all you want. Clemson has 2 national championships, and I don't think Georgia's won anything since the 80s.
Hey, what did I tell you?
And you have to build your program somewhere, Chris. And this is where they're going to have to reload and go back to the top of the mountain. This is the Cheez-It Bowl. It's going to be a little cheesy matchup. So laugh if you want to, Chris.
I'm just saying. I'm not talking about the past. I don't care. Clemson's way better team past years. They got a good coach and everything. I'm just saying. Even if it was Georgia in this matchup, I'm not excited to go to Cheez-It.
Anytime I get to see my Tigers play and put on that uniform, I'm excited to watch them perform. I think that's just the mentality I have. I love this team. I've always loved them. Even when they don't perform the best, which they haven't performed the best out of 6 out of 12 weeks this year, I give them hell on social media, but I'm right there with them again on Saturday, and I'm right there pulling for them, whether it's a blowout, a close win, or they lose. I mean, this is my team.
Who did Georgia lose to, and then they had to play Texas the next morning? Or Texas. They had to play Texas in a bowl game.
You talking about the Sugar Bowl 4 years ago?
Yeah, and who
did they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship?
Yeah, I didn't even watch the Texas game. That shit pisses me off, so I could care less.
I remember exactly where I was because I was watching that game. I was texting my friend. I was like, "Whoa, what happened?" But I wanted to talk about a couple acquisitions that the Clemson could get just real quick off the top of my head. So I'm sitting here looking at it. If the offensive coordinator is gone, then we have both our main coordinator positions, offensive and defensive, that we have to fill for the next season. And there's a couple good names out there on both sides of the ball that I'm really excited. Hopefully Clemson is able to pony up and get somebody big name and, restore faith and hope into this program for the next season. On offense, the guy that lit up college football in 2019, leader of the offense for LSU and past the Panthers who just fired him, Joe Brady. Hopefully he wants to come back to college, back to rebuild his resume, restore faith in himself, and maybe take Clemson's offense back to where they can. I mean, he's got athletes on offense for Clemson. So, maybe that's like a calling card. Hey, come, we got some athletes. You can coach them up and win another national championship and be right back on your way. If you want to go back to the NFL or you want to take another coaching job, because I'm sure somebody's going to be gone by that point. Another offensive guru that I think I'd be really excited. Bryson, you know him really well. I think Dan Mullen could come to Clemson and be the offensive coordinator. He's a quarterback whisperer. That's what Clemson has is quarterbacks. But, we could definitely use him.
You got quarterbacks, you'll probably start the wrong one.
Well, there's a possibility, but they have a lot of good ones. So hopefully, he could, find a diamond in the rough for us. But I definitely think that would be a great acquisition for the Clemson Tigers on offense, for the offensive coordinator, Dan Mullen. And then for the last offensive coordinator, I've got 3 on each side, is Tom Manning, the Iowa State offensive coordinator. Clemson's going to be playing them in a couple weeks. Maybe he gets a look at the other side of the field and like, hey, look, they got better athletes. Okay. They're having a down year right now. I could go over there. He said publicly that he wants to be a head coach in a couple years. You're not going to, really get that many eyes looked at you if you're at Iowa State. Now you can win the Big 12 and possibly make the playoffs, and that's how you get your vision. But Clemson, you get that offense rolling again. They get them in the playoffs. Somebody's going to be looking at you because there's only there's 4 offensive coordinators in the playoff. So that's my 4th one. If I had to pick the one I really, really, really wanted out of these 3, I want Joe Brady. I think he's proven it in college, I'd be very happy with any of them. But Dan Mullen also could get quarterbacks going, and that's been our issue this year. And on defense, I'll make this real quick. Gary Patterson, TCU, just fired. He knows how to coach a defense. He knows what he's doing. Come back over here, build your resume up, get back on the coaching job. Okay, just recently fired as of today, Manny Diaz from Miami. I definitely think, he's going to want some money. And he has proven he can get a defense ready to go and run through a wall for him. And I definitely think this would be the place. Same thing that I said about Dan Mullen and Joe Brady and Tom Manning. Athletes. That's what Clemson recruits is athletes, some of the best in the country. You see that talent, you coach them. It's so much easier than when you have to coach somewhere small or go to a JUCO school. Why don't you come to Clemson, make some good money, play for the playoffs, national championships, and you have some of the best players to build your resume to go up the ladder again. And the last one, Jim Leonard from Wisconsin, the same thing that I was talking about Tom Manning. Get on a team that possibly could make the playoffs, could possibly win a national championship, get your name out there in a bigger crowd, and that's how you get a job faster. So those are my 3 on each side. I'd definitely be happy with the combination of any of these, but I would just really be happy if Clemson just doesn't hire from within, because I do not think that's the answer this time. We definitely need to hire a big name on both sides of the ball, be competitive, get back to the national limelight, and win a national championship again. Tigers.
I give this man props. He's a true fan. He really is a true fan. He keeps up with all of it. That's one reason I have to give him props. As much as I don't care, I said as much as I wanted to say that, but he's a true fan out there. He knows what he wants. I was going to speak a little bit. If you guys want to say anything about any of the other games, we can talk about them next time. But you also got Oregon, Oklahoma. 14-16 matchup playing in the Alamo Bowl. That's going to be a good one. That one's on the 29th. Oregon, Oklahoma. Excuse me.
My only problem with that matchup is both the head coach. I don't think Brent Venables is going to coach in that matchup. I think he's going to sit that one out most likely and just watch it to see the team perform. And Mario Cristobal has just been hired at Miami, so they definitely have no head coach yet. So I don't know. That's going to be a tough one.
How about this one? The only mayonnaise out there, Duke's mayonnaise. The Duke's mayo ball. I didn't even know Duke's mayo had a ball. Isn't that right, Bryson? You don't like mayonnaise, do you?
Hell no.
I love it.
Duke's mayonnaise. That's the only mayonnaise you can go with. North Carolina against South Carolina.
Battle of the Carolinas. Did you see on Twitter what the Duke's mayonnaise bowl will do?
No.
If the winning head coach gets doused in a bucket of mayonnaise after the game on the field, that team can choose where the $10,000 money can go to for what's it called? Charity. So if the head coach of any of the teams, if Shane Beamer or Mac Jones wins that bowl game, if the players douse him in a bucket of mayonnaise, $10,000 can go to their choice of charity.
I'm sorry, I look bad, but I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. Charity, I'm sorry. That charity's gonna have to wait.
Charity who?
Mayonnaise, yeah. I couldn't do
the
it.
hell you going in for $10,000?
Yeah,
pay some people off.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Ain't no way I'm doing mayonnaise. I wouldn't do it for $100,000 probably.
I don't know, man. Mayonnaise isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good. Apparently, you can make your hair silky smooth with it.
Now if I'm broke and you give me $100,000, no, I'm kidding. That's messed up. I'm messed up. All right. Anyways, mayonnaise. I wouldn't want to get messed up in some mayonnaise. Anyway, other games.
I'm about to pick a bowl game. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Bryson's got to use the bathroom. Pittsburgh, Michigan State, Peach Bowl, Wisconsin, Arizona State, Las Vegas Bowl. Didn't care about that one. Wake Forest, Texas A&M, Gator Bowl. What bowl did you say y'all are in, Bryce?
The Gator Bowl.
I thought we were in the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, y'all ain't in the Gator Bowl. That's what it says. Anyway, I'll find it in a minute. What's the other games? Notre Dame, Oklahoma State. And then the Fiesta Bowl, it could be a good game. I think Oklahoma State
is Oklahoma State favorite.
because I think Oklahoma State.
Why is Notre Dame favored?
I don't know, because they only got one loss, I guess. Who knows?
They lost their head coach.
That's I agree. Baylor, Ole Miss. That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a really good game.
Ole Miss favored by 2.5. That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be that.
I think that's going to be a one that we're going to have difference. Could have a difference in the pick'ems on. LSU, Kansas State. I don't think that one cares. I don't know what game. I don't know what bowl Florida's in, but
are we sure they're bowling?
Florida's in a bowl. I don't even know where they're at. I'm looking for them. Auburn, Houston. That could be a good one. Auburn and Houston. Houston just lost to. Here we go. The Gasparilla Bowl. All right, we might have found. I don't even know what Gasparilla is.
It's a lawnmower company.
Yeah, I definitely would rather be in a
Bad Boy Motors
lawnmower company than the Cheez-It Bowl. So I'll take that.
The Cheez-It Bowl? What?
I'd rather
formerly known as the Russell Athletic Bowl.
UCF. A lot of people picking UCF in that game. Anyway, that's pretty much all the bowl. We're going to do a bowl pick 'em next week. Give our picks for the games. Went longer than I thought. But appreciate you watching. Go Dogs. Peace.
Go Tigers.
Thank you.